You're really excited to go play a round of golf. You can't wait to get out there. It's been a few weeks. You're feeling good. You really know that you're going to have a great round. So you're very, very excited to go to the tee and start hitting some shots. Now you take out your trusty 7-iron. You usually hit that one pretty good. You make a swing. That's a little thin. Not the best, but you'll get in a groove once you hit a few more. You hit another one thin, another one thin. Then you try to adjust. Maybe get a little bit more lower on the face, and all of a sudden you hit one and you chunk it. Then you start slicing and hooking. You hit them all over the place. You just can't, no matter what you try, you cannot hit the ball solid. And then you go to the course and it falls apart even worse. You have one of the worst rounds of the year. That is extremely, extremely frustrating. What if I told you there's a series of drills that I could get you to work through that would actually allow you, when you do hit unsolid shots, when you're not making that perfectly clean contact, you could adjust and start hitting them solid in a matter of minutes. And what if I showed you there an actual way to improve and get this down 6 to 10 times faster than your competitors? So you're going to improve. If you practice for an hour, they're going to have to practice 6 hours or 10 hours to improve the amount that you're improving. That's exactly what I'm going to show you in this video. I can't wait to show it to you. Let's go and get started. Be sure to click that subscribe button down below right now. I got a ton of great content coming out for you this year, and you're only going to be notified if you're a subscriber. So click that button, hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed that video. That really helps us out, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Just a few minutes ago, I hit some shots to demonstrate how the ball flight is affected if we hit it a little off the toe, a little off the heel, a little thin, and a little heavy. So the very first shot, I hit a nice solid shot. All these you're going to notice I'm swinging somewhere between 87 and 92 miles an hour. Some a little faster, some a little slower. But this first shot, 158 yards. Pretty nice solid shot right toward the flag, right in the middle of the green. Now the second shot, I purposely tried to hit on the toe to see how this would affect it. And you can see from the strike point on my club, it's well off the toe. And that one only carried 146 yards. So I lost quite a bit of distance when I went off the toe. If I hit off the heel on the next shot, again, 149 yards. So I still lost some distance there. So what that's showing you is, in a ballpark, if you hit it off the toe, if you hit it off the heel, you're going to be somewhere around 8 to 10 yards shorter than your normal distance. Now, it's not that bad. It's only 30 feet. That's going to leave you kind of, if the pin is in the center of the green, if you can miss around that area, you're still going to be on the front of the green, probably have a putt or maybe a really easy chip if you're doing this. Now, the next few shots I hit, I decided to draw a line on the ground. We're going to go over this exact drill later. And I hit one a little bit thin. Now, on that shot, still not too bad, 156 yards, only 3 yards short of my good shot. So a little bit of thin isn't going to kill you. And I purposely even chunked a few to see what happened there. Now, the first one, you can see that on that line, I contacted the line right behind the golf ball. So I'm probably about a ½ inch behind the golf ball hitting it. That's okay, it went 152 yards, only lost a handful of yards. And then the last shot here, I really tried to chunk it. I was probably an inch behind that line, so my club is taking up 2 inches of turf before it gets to the ball, and I still got 150 yards. So what this is showing is two things. Number one, if you're hitting it off the heel or the toe, you're hitting it a little thin or a little heavy, then you're going to lose somewhere in that 8 to 10 yard range. So you're still going to be around the green. What we really have to learn to do is eliminate those big misses, the ones where we just hit a cold dead chunk or completely skull the ball. Those are going to be the ones that really jack up your scores, that feel terrible. We don't have to be perfectly precise like you're seeing with the pros to be able to play some really good golf. And then number two, there is a way to adjust this. Just like I adjusted on these shots, if I can use these specific drills, I'll be able to adjust my contact point forwards and backwards very easily. So if I do hit one bad shot, I can get right back on track. Let's go ahead and get started with my first and one of my favorite drills, which I call the T drill. All right, so this is what I call the T drill. This is one of my favorite drills here. And on this one, we're gonna first work on making contact with the ball, either more toward the toe or more toward the heel. Now, I'm gonna get to a trick in a minute, like I talked about earlier, how you can improve way faster. We're gonna practice this the right way. We're not gonna do the old way where we just hit a billion balls day in and day out. So here, what I've done is to start out, I set that tee outside the toe of this club, and I'm using an 8-iron here. It's about a 3/4 of an inch or so. If you're not quite as accurate, you can go a little bit tighter in there. If you get really good at this, you can make these pretty tight, even a 1/4 inch outside the toe of your club. Now on the heel, the hosel side, since my hosel is angled back a bit, I want to bring the tee a little bit wider out away from that. So if I'm not using the sole of my club, I'm kind of looking at where the hosel of my club goes over this tee. I want at least a finger width in between there. So basically what I'm saying is on the heel side, the tee is going to be a little bit wider because your hosel is angled back in. Now the great thing about this drill, I can swing through this like a gate, and this is going to allow me to get some visual feedback on whether or not my club is moving toward the dead center. The sweet spot of my club is moving toward the dead center of the ball. So let me go ahead and try one out here. And what I'm going to do to measure this, I have a little cheat here, which is Dr. Scholl's Odor X foot spray powder. We'll give you a close-up of that here in a second. All I have to do is just to spray that on my club, and it puts a white powder on this club face. Now this is really cool because it gives me feedback, immediate feedback, if I'm doing what I think I'm doing or not. So one of the keys to improving faster, we have to have measurable feedback. If you go out there to the driving range and you hit a shot and it doesn't feel good, and you're not sure if you hit it off the heel or the toe, now you're guessing, and you're really not going to improve your game as much because you're trying to figure out what happened. You're not really sure. So spray that club face, set up the tee to where I'm going to hit a perfectly solid shot now, and let's go ahead and try one out. Try to hit it right toward the flag, and then we'll adjust from there. All right, right at the flag. Again, wasn't the best shot in the world as far as being solid, but I got about a 6 or 8 footer, which I'll take all day long. Now on there, we'll get to what we talk about in the second part of this video, but from here you can see that was on the center of the face and just a little low. Now we're going to work on the low and high later in this video, but the key was we got it in the center. Now if you find yourself hitting it a little bit more toward the heel or the toe, that's where this drill is really going to help you out, because we can adjust where we put the ball between these two tees. So if I move this ball a little closer to the toe side of the tee, to where now if I was to hit this ball on the dead center of the club, my toe of my club would actually clip that tee. Your brain's pretty smart. You're pretty good athletes. You're going to be able to adjust pretty fast. What you're going to find yourself doing is pulling that club in and hitting a little bit more off the toe so that you can miss that tee. And that's exactly what we'll do here. Another good key for this, if you find yourself constantly hitting toward the heel, that's when you'd want to do this drill to make sure you hit off the toe. But if I'm constantly hitting toward the heel over and over again, one of the things that I could be doing is kind of standing up out of my posture. My hips are moving toward the target. I'm moving closer to the ball, and all of a sudden I lose room and my hands raise up and my club starts to go out this way a little bit more. So really concentrate. If you're trying to hit more on the toe, feel like your weight sinks in more towards your heels on the downswing, and you feel like if you had a wall behind you, your left butt cheek is going to push through that wall. So you're really trying to get your body, get some space to swing on through this. So again, if I'm hitting a little too much off the heel, I'm going to purposely try to hit on the toe. I'm going to do that by putting this ball a little bit more to the toe side of the tee. And then I'm really going to feel like I'm back on my heels. My left butt cheek is going through that wall. I'm going to put a hole in the wall in my downswing. So let's try that out. I'm going to purposely hit toward the toe here. There we go. Again, right toward the middle of the green, but I was able to adjust about 5 feet right of the pin. I was able to adjust. It's going to be a little harder to see this one. I'll clean it up for you slightly because I got some dirt on there. But you'll see I was able to actually hit that ball right here in this toe area. So I don't know if it'll show it as much on the camera, but you can see it really clear as day here when you're looking at it live in person. So a lot of people are probably asking at this point, like, why would I purposely hit one on the toe? That doesn't really make sense. Why shouldn't I just be trying to hit on the sweet spot? And that's what's called variability training. This has been tested to death. Hundreds of tests have been done on this, and what they find when you purposely train yourself to feel what the fringes are. So if I'm not hitting it solid, I need to purposely hit some wrong off the toe, purposely hit some wrong off the heel, and now I get a full spectrum of what's going on, and I know what that feels like to do either one of those. I know if I want to hit off the toe, I have to feel like I'm coming back this way with my hips, let my hips come up, kind of into that wall, and I start to get that toe result. So my brain says, okay, I know that's what a toe shot feels like now. Next, we're going to do the heel shot, but when you do both extremes, your body gets a full picture of what's going on, and you're going to learn 6 to 10 times faster. If I just try to set that ball up in the middle of these tees and hit the sweet spot every single time, I'm not really learning what makes me hit it off the heel and the toe. I'm just kind of guessing and doing a lot of work, but not improving as fast. So don't gloss over this. This is one of the most important things that I've learned in all my teaching. We've got to use variability training if you want to learn fast. If you guys start doing this, you're really going to pick up on it. Now let's go to the heel side. Let's go ahead and spray the club here again so we'll be able to see a little bit easier. And again, that's a Dr. Scholl's Odor X. That's the best one. It really puts a good coating of the white film on the club. Now we're going to go a little bit more. You'll see when I'm placing this ball here, I'm going a little bit more toward the heel. So I almost have to hit a little off the heel or I'm going to clip this inside tee. And again, being a good athlete that you are, you're naturally going to start to do this. Now, one of the things that I found is if players are coming too far off the toe, so if you tend to hit off the toe again and again and again, this is the drill that's going to get you out of that. A lot of times what I find is players are coming over the top, kind of falling back away from the target. So you're falling away from the target and then swinging across that, and now that's leaving the toe of the club kind of glancing across the ball. What I want you to feel like to hit it a little bit more off the heel is get a little bit more inside, so you feel like your club's coming a little bit more from the inside, you're swinging out to the right, that'd be the opposite over the top, and then really make sure your weight shifts to your left foot as you're coming down and through. So let's go ahead again and purposely try to hit 2 or 3 balls until you can force yourself to get one a little bit off the heel. There we go, that's another dead straight shot. I might have to start hitting them off the toe and heel all the time. This is the best I've hit in a while. And you can see a little bit here, I cut a little bit to grass. That's one thing you'll notice if you start to catch too much of a divot. Sometimes it wipes the paint off there, but I went ahead and made it a little bit larger. We can see that's off the hill side. So again there, I had a pretty big spread. I'm not saying a millimeter one way or the other. I've covered a lot of the face, but all 3 of those shots are right on the flag. They're all pretty good birdie putts. So that's telling me that I don't have to be dead on precise. I just have to be in the ballpark. If I can do that and work on this drill over and over to adjust and get it toward the center, somewhere on the center, man, I'm gonna be pretty good. Now let's move on to the ground contact. What if we're chunking and thinning? I got some great drills for you on that too. Now I love this drill. This is one of my favorite ones for controlling where you're making your divot in relationship to the ball. So I'm gonna pretend like this middle tee. What I've done here, I've set 3 tees up in the ground, about a 1/2 inch sticking above the turf. This middle one would be what I would set up to, as though I'm gonna hit that one as the ball. Now, if I can come down and miss this middle tee and this back tee and clip this first tee, that would train me to really get my divot in front. Now, I want to start out by doing that. Again, we're going to use that variability training so we can learn 6 to 10 times faster. But here, as I start to hit that first tee, what I'm going to feel like is I shift my weight to the front, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing this by coming over the top. So I don't want to shift my weight to the front and then slice down across this tee like an over the top move. I want to feel like I'm coming from the inside, my weight's still getting to the front, and I'm just going to clip that tee first. So if I do that correctly, it looks something like this. Now I've hit that tee out of the ground, left the other 2 tees intact. Now the reason I'm doing this so exaggerated, imagine this is my golf ball. Now I've really gone way up here in front of it. If I can get the exaggerated, the extreme, my mind makes what's called a mental map or a blueprint a lot faster. Now if you want to sit out there and hit 10,000 golf balls and learn it the slow way, hey, that's fine, that's the way I did it for years. This will actually help you learn a lot faster by going to the extremes first. So again, I'm going to feel like my weight comes to my left foot, exaggerate that. Still want to come from the inside. I don't want to chop down over top of it. I'm brushing the grass, and I'm just going to clip that front tee out. There we go, I did that again. Do that 3 times. You can successfully miss both of these back tees and hit the front tee. Now, I'm going to do the opposite of that, which would be clipping this back tee only, and trying to miss the front 2 tees. Now this one's a little bit tougher because your club naturally wants to come down and through as you're hitting these. So if you clip a little bit of that middle tee, I'm completely fine with that, but I don't want you whacking both of those tees out of the ground. So again, I'm gonna set up like this in my middle tee. Instead of letting my weight shift way up to the front, now I'm gonna feel like my weight stays on the back a little bit more, almost like I'm falling back here, like I would be scooping up on the ball. Again, this is incorrect. Just like going way too far forward is incorrect, going too far back, falling back and flipping is incorrect, but I'm gonna do it the wrong way to that extreme so I can feel if I start to hit behind the ball too much, my brain knows what's causing that and I can adjust from there. So set up to your middle tee, I'm gonna fall back on my downswing, I'm gonna clip that back tee and kind of come up this way. So it's actually a bad swing, but I'll go ahead and demonstrate what that looks like. Fall back. There we go, and I clipped that back tee. You can see how I really got stuck on my back leg. Let me go ahead and do that again, see if I can get that out of the ground. So I got the back tee out. I clipped the middle tee a little bit. That may happen to you slightly. I would prefer you exaggerate enough to where you don't even hit that middle tee. A lot of you guys that are already falling back in your swing may think, Clay, this is the easiest drill I've ever seen in my life. I fell back 10, 15 times in a row. I nailed that back tee, didn't even get close to any of these other tees. But that's where I want you to start. And then finally here, we're gonna go ahead, when we do this correctly, set those tees up again. I'm gonna clip this middle tee and the front tee. So I've felt what it's like to get too far forward. I've felt what it's like to fall too far back. Let me find that middle zone, which is right in the middle where I want to be. Hit those middle tees just like that. Clipped them perfectly, I'm well on my way. Now, that's the beginning part of this. We're finding those big extremes, way too far forward, way too far back. Your brain makes a mental map of what that feels like. Now let's hone in on what's good and get a little bit more precise with this. Now when we're doing this, hitting off the ground is a three-step process. In the first part where we go in heel and toe, I found most players can keep it on the face fairly easily, but when they're talking about hitting those irons, making ball first contact hitting the ground tends to be a little bit more difficult. So the second phase of this drill, I'm gonna take a thin towel. If your towel's a little bit thicker and it's setting up off the ground, you may need to put your ball a little bit more in front. This is a pretty thin towel. This is fairly short, mown fairway. So I'm gonna be able to easily miss that towel, come down, hit the ball first and then the ground in front of it. I got this ball about 3 inches in front. If you need to sneak a little bit farther forward in the beginning, that's completely fine. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna make a swing, and the goal of this is for me to miss the towel. So I'm coming down and through, I'm not hitting behind the golf ball. Make ball first contact, and then again, I'm gonna hit in front of that tee or where that ball is. So if I wanna spray a little bit of that Dr. Scholl's Odor X to make this a little bit easier to see the feedback, I can also do that. So spray that on the ground. That'll give me a line knowing where my ball is so I can see my divot. So here, I'm gonna set up to this. Again, I'm gonna feel like I'm clipping that middle tee like we did in the last time, see where my divot is. So I put a little tee under this ball to cheat to make it easier as we're starting this drill. There we go, so we see I missed the towel. That one's right on the green, maybe 10 feet right of the flag. And I see that my tee is in the right position, my divot is in the right position. So here's my line, my divot started, get that tee out of there. My divot started right on that line, went nice in front of that, and I missed this towel. That's a perfect shot. Now what you'll find if you start, the good thing about this is not rocket science. Again, one of the things that's a key, if you want to improve fast, you have to have immediate feedback. You can't be guessing what's happening. By drawing this line there, if I start to, and having the towel behind it, if I start to hit behind this a little bit too much, let me try to chunk one a little bit. There we go, so I saw my towel got marked up a little bit, and I'll notice that I actually did clip a little bit of that line still the same, but I almost flipped it, so it kind of caught my towel first. So again, that's giving me immediate feedback. I'm too far behind, and I know I need to adjust my divot farther forward. So the cool thing is, again, talking about learning faster, if you can give your body a direct, immediate feedback, you're a good athlete. What's happening a lot of times when we practice though, is we hit a shot, we're not quite sure what we did, and then we make the wrong adjustment. So having this gives us immediate feedback. If I hit a little too far in front, again, I'm gonna put the back of my ball right on this line. If I hit a little too far in front, you're gonna notice that either one, I'm gonna hit it thin and there's not gonna be any divot, or two, the divot's gonna start 2 or 3 inches in front of that white line. So let's go ahead and try that out. So there, I hit that ball thin, no divot. I know that I didn't come down and hit it good enough. So I got immediate feedback of what happened. If I do a little bit less than that, let me try to get one with a divot and actually have it a little too far in front. You're gonna see exactly what I'm talking about there. And I can adjust. If I'm too far back, get my weight coming a little farther forward. If I'm too far forward, get my weight going a little farther back. There you go, so I got that one. Got away with it, still hit it fairly decent, but you're gonna see my divot is almost an inch in front of that line. That means I probably hit the ball a little bit thin as I was coming through that, and it resulted in not quite as perfect a shot. So it doesn't have to be that complicated. Set a towel down so you know if you're hitting behind it. Draw that line so if you know if you're hitting farther in front of it, and then adjust from there. So finally, let's take this towel away and let's really focus in, focus in on honing in on this line. These last few shots, what I want you to do is go ahead and take 2 or 3 balls, and I want to look at that immediate feedback and try to get my divots going all the way down this line. So if I finish this drill perfectly, I'm going to have divots in front of this line and none behind it. And I'm going to be very precise in where I'm looking at this. So let me go ahead and hit a shot and then see how I could adjust if I wanted to get it even better. All right, so on that one, a little bit thin. I noticed that I roughed up the ground here, but I really didn't take much of a divot. If that happens to you and you start hitting them a little bit thin, what I want you to feel like you're doing is sinking into the ground a little bit more. This is something that all the pros are doing. Feel like as you start your downswing, you start to open your hips, but your knees kind of flex into the ground a little bit. That's gonna get me slightly closer to the ground. The opposite of that would be kind of doing this, letting my hips come forward, stand up. That's gonna be a thin shot. I'm sinking into the ground, and I'm gonna go ahead and feel like I really hit down and through on this next one. Let's try that out. There we go, much better. And I can see I got a nice divot in front of that line again. Let's say I'm doing the opposite thing, and instead of going too thin, I'm going a little heavy. So there, I'm probably falling back. Almost everybody I see hitting behind the golf ball is falling back this way and kind of flipping or scooping the ball up in the air. Another symptom of this would be if your ball is flying too high. If you tend to hit those balls that just kind of float up in the air, you're probably falling back and scooping. A great drill for this one is, I'm gonna start with my feet together. I'm gonna take a step as I make my backswing. As I swing forward, I'm gonna pivot onto that front foot. So again, I'm gonna start with my feet together, step, pivot, and as I finish, I wanna check to make sure all my weight's off my back foot. I should be able to pick my back foot up just like this and hold my finish position. That's gonna ensure that I don't fall back and hit behind this golf ball. I'm gonna come nice down and through this golf ball and get that divot in front. Let's try that one, that same feeling out. I'm not gonna take the step when I actually hit the ball, but I'm gonna have the same feeling for a weight transfer. There we go, another good one. All right, so go through these series of drills. I promise you, you'll make better contact. It'll be much more solid, and you're gonna be able to learn 6 to 10 times faster than your competitors. You match up with them again 6 months, 8 months down the road, and you're gonna be miles ahead. Now, we don't want to stop here. If we really want to ingrain this and make this second nature where we can control these divots, we can control this face contact, a lot of that comes down to what I call the stable fluid spine. And what that means is as I make my backswing, my spine is going to stay roughly the same angle all the way throughout the backswing. As I make my downswing, the spine is going to stay in the same angle. That allows my head and my eyes to stay really stable and my hand-eye coordination to work much more effortlessly than if I was swaying to the left or falling back to the right. We talked about how falling back was one of the big problems here. So if I can get that stable fluid spine down, that's gonna make things way, way easier. I've got an awesome bonus for you that goes over one of my best tips for the stable fluid spine and really how to nail that down and get the best hand-eye coordination so that golf's a lot easier for you guys. I'm gonna play a preview of that here in a second. Just click the card or the link down below in the description and you'll get instant access to it. Best of luck. I'll see you in the stable fluid spine. What is it that allows us to have consistency in the golf swing? And what is it that allows that consistency to fall apart and create some bad rounds? That's what we're going to talk about in this video today. Let's go ahead and get started. Everything that happens in the golf swing is initially dictated by what happens with the spine. So if we're looking at a skeleton, you know, my spine's in the center of my body and everything else in my body is attached to my spine. So my shoulders are attached to my spine, my arms attached to my shoulders, and then my arms are going to be actually swinging the club. Now, when I see players that are really struggling, those guys that are hitting it out in the woods right, they're hitting in the left, then they have a few good holes, what's happening is their spine angle is changing. As they go to the top of the swing, maybe they have a reverse pivot, spine's angled back, falling back to the right, but there's a lot of inconsistency in that. And what happens is, as good athletes as we all are, the #1 fundamental in golf, correct, keep it nice and stable, but fluid, we're gonna be able to hit those good, clean shots time and time again, and that's what I'm gonna show you in this series of videos.
Henrik Stenson, top 5 in both driving distance and accuracy. Rory McIlroy here, playing some of the best golf that anybody's ever played, and you can see just how stable.